We're going to get into Fusion 360 and talk about some of the tools that are available. We're going to look at some of the machining tools, as well as some of the analysis tools, and just kind of discuss cloud-based design, processing, and storage just a little bit. Fusion 360 is the first 3D CAD, CAM, CAE, and PCB tool of its kind, connecting your entire product development process into one cloud-based software. We're gonna review the methods and benefits of connecting some of your existing designs, Inventor, SolidWorks, whatever design models you have, connecting those with Fusion, and explore some of the product extensions that are available to enhance the software. If you're using Inventor and accessing as part of the product design manufacturing collection, what are some of the ways that you can benefit from including Fusion in your workflow? We're going to talk about some of the great things that that Fusion can do by itself. And that's exactly where we really want to begin this. We're going to talk about some of those core capabilities, and then we'll get into some of the reasons to send your Inventor models to Fusion and how that may be a benefit. So what about some of those core capabilities? Fusion's been built from the ground up as a cloud-based design software. This means that that you can take your ideas all the way to manufacturing without ever leaving Fusion. You can do surface modeling, sheet metal, freeform, mesh modeling, even specific parametric design. As we get into this, Fusion gives you the ability to create your concepts and complex designs with ease. The flexibility that you have between parametric and freeform design enables you to focus on your design work. Aesthetics and ergonomics for those consumer products like we're seeing on screen here can easily be accomplished by directly manipulating the geometry with simple push-pull gestures. Fusion also has as the flexible options to 3D modeling to allow you to focus on the task, not so much how you're going to do it. It's helpful to make changes and know that it isn't going to affect other features when you're editing the geometry directly. You can also access tools to edit and repair imported scans, mesh models, including the STL and OBJ types. There's 50 different types of models that you can bring in, model files that you can bring in. You can do that freeform modeling, no features or constraints, instant translation. I mean, it will automatically on screen live translate for you without doing the updates. And again, we can import those scans and mesh models. Another method of advanced 3D modeling is with generative design. This is something that's unique to Fusion. Rather than manually modeling a design, let the software create the model for you under the guides of your specific requirements. Requirements for material, cost, manufacturing capabilities. It enables you to explore multiple viable outcomes. It's calculated in the cloud, which enables you to work on other important things while it solves. And in the end, you have a design that's lightweight. You can make it on your shop floor based on your manufacturing choice, whether it's 2.5 axis, 3 axis, 5 axis, or even 3D print. It completely changes the traditional approach to design. And more than likely, you'll end up with ideas that you would have never thought of. With regard to analyzing product performance, working with simulation analysis in Fusion is powerful and very user-friendly. Static studies, of course, are included, but you can also do nonlinear for various material types, as well as improved accuracy in your results. You can find out if your model is going to shake to death with vibration studies, test for heat transfer and apply those results to a stress study. You can check if your model is going to buckle and even what happens post-buckling in a nonlinear study. You can even run complex dynamic simulations with involving impact studies. Electronics is another unique capability for Fusion 360. It's a comprehensive tool for electronics and PCB design right inside the CAD tool itself. It means that your ECAD and your MCAD can finally be accomplished in one interface, one data set. So you can visualize it all together. It provides that complete set of tools, schematic editing tools, as well as a predefined PCB library of content and component wizards. Many of you still have the need to document your designs and provide those documents for manufacturing. There's automated templates to make this process fast and easy. You can quickly create your views, and of course, everything is associative back to the 3D model, so any changes that you make are going to show up in your drawings. All the annotation tools are there. You can create your parts list for assemblies, and you can still export DWG and DXF as well as PDF file types. As far as manufacturing is concerned, Fusion makes it easy to program your CNC machines. One of the things you can immediately do is adaptive clearing. It's a high efficiency roughing strategy that quickly removes material while extending the life of the tool. Everything you see here is included, 2.5 axis to 5 axis, and it's done without leaving the Fusion interface. And then prototyping, 3D printing over the years has become more and more popular for quickly creating quality prototypes. There's a wide range of materials available. It's a great resource for testing form, fit, function of your designs. And Fusion has the tools that will walk you through the entire process for setting up your prints. Most engineers understand the importance of data management. These tools are built right into Fusion. It's not an added piece of software. Many teams need to collaborate amongst themselves or with suppliers. And for many of you, these two things are critical to the success of your projects. Fusion 360 has you covered with both. Only people with permission can view and edit or edit your data inside and outside of your organization. So whether that's folks internally, if you've got contractors, suppliers, whatever that need to access your data, you can invite them in to see it and to access it. You can track all your changes with version control, enjoy the benefits of working in the cloud. And speaking of the cloud, the files might be stored there, but you also have the ability to work offline when you know you're not going to have access to the internet. There are some wonderful photorealistic rendering tools inside of Fusion. It makes this process fast and easy for things for applying materials, decals, textures, and appearances. And the rendering process is also done in the cloud. So again, you can go back to doing other work while your photorealistic images are indeed rendering. And you get the choice. You don't have to do it in the cloud, but you can if you want to. And then finally, looking at when you open models from other CAD systems like SolidWorks, Creo, NX, Solid Edge, even Step, and then simulate those in Fusion or set up a toolpath strategy, the model and all downstream efforts will update if the model changes in the original CAD software. So when you bring those things into the manufacturing environment, when you bring those things into the simulation environment, if you end up changing geometry, those will automatically update. And again, you can see some of the different types that are brought in. Doing your manufacturing, validating your designs, just doing a simple review if you want, as well as some of the documentation, creating your drawings. What I'd like to do now is talk to the Autodesk Inventor user and why you might want to connect Inventor or some other modeling software to Fusion to extend the usability of your existing data. I do want to be clear about this. It's not about replacing Inventor with Fusion, but rather leveraging Fusion's unique and specialized workflows as part of your overall design and engineering process. Autodesk Inventor and Fusion 360 are not competing tools, but rather complementary tools. It's not about Inventor or Fusion, it's about Inventor and Fusion. As it says right there on the screen, using the right tool at the right time for the right workflow. I'd like to take a look at 5 specific things that the Inventor user may want to consider bringing those files into Fusion for. The first one's kind of obvious. That's that generative design. First and foremost, there's no equivalent inside of Inventor to do generative design. The closest thing is the shape generator. Secondly, it allows you to run any number of iterations of a design that you couldn't do inside of Inventor. The information can easily be transferred from Inventor to Fusion, and all you have to do is set up the generative design study. And we'll take a look at that process here in just a little bit. Next thing you might be interested in is performing simulations. While there's simulation tools inside of Inventor and the product design manufacturing collection with the Nastran tools, Fusion 360 has some specialized analysis tools, and it has a really easy to use interface for setting up and reviewing simulation results. It gives you the capability to solve on the cloud, freeing up your local system so that you can continue to do some design work while those simulations are calculating. Inventor doesn't have any electronic PCB specific design tools. The connection here is, let's say you have geometry that you'd like to build a PCB around. You could easily transfer that Inventor geometry over to Fusion and begin to develop your PCB layouts. If you're not aware, Fusion has tons of manufacturing tools. We've discussed some of those, both additive and subtractive workflows. While Inventor does have Inventor CAM as part of the product design manufacturing collection, the tools inside of Fusion are going to provide more options, allowing for easier collaboration and allow you to connect to advanced manufacturing capabilities that aren't available inside of Inventor. And finally, when it comes to those photorealistic images, those renderings, Fusion makes it really easy to apply different materials, lighting, depth of field, and other photorealistic capabilities. The interface is extremely easy to use. And it also allows you to generate those renderings via the cloud, saving you resources, again, to continue working on additional tasks. So I moved through that kind of quickly, but let's go ahead and take a look inside the software here. We'll see what we can come up with. I'm actually going to start in Inventor, and I've got just a simple little design here. You can see I've actually done one of the exports here recently. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy. We're looking at Inventor 2023 here, and what it has done is given us this Fusion tab that allows us to send our models directly to a specific workspace inside of Fusion, and we're gonna look at those here in just a minute. In the 2022 release of Inventor had the ability to do this, but it was under the environments tab. It was in this area here, and you could not work with assemblies. You had to turn those assemblies into single parts, and there's multitude ways of doing that. The Derive tools, as well as some of the simplified tools. Well, what they've done with 2023 is basically set that process up so it becomes kind of a one-click option here. And I'm going to go ahead and send this guy over. Let me jump into Fusion just a minute and make sure we're not going to interrupt something that's already here. I don't think we are. Looks like we're okay. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize Fusion, and let's send this over. And in this case, we'll look at that generative design process just a little bit and see what that might look like. So I'm going to go ahead and start this structural component in that generative design. You can also look at fluid flow paths if you want to. We're building a structural component. We're going to kind of take a look and see if we can minimize this little shape here. Some different things that we can look at as we go into this little box will pop up, and it's just kind of that interoperability tool. You can turn this off, and it happens to be very specific for the task that we're doing, where we're going to take some things and do this generative design. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Generative design is an extension tool in Fusion 360, but it is kind of a handy little tool to have available. As we look at this interface, it's asking me what team do I want to send this to. So I'm going to say my team Hagerman, and it's asking me what project within that team. So as we set up our teams in Fusion, we can set specific projects. We can invite users to those, again, inside or outside of the company. And I'm just going to go ahead and upload this guy, and we'll take a look and see what kind of time that takes. And it should pop up Fusion for us. This is the beginning of that interface. We'll come back and look at this page as we get that Inventor model brought over here. You can see that if I want to, I can go ahead and cancel this. Takes a little bit of time. It's calculating, things into the cloud and then pulling things from the cloud. But it's really not too bad. And obviously, the size of your assembly or the size of your object may have some work to do with that. So generative design is a pretty simple tool. There is, of course, this guide, and it will give you this panel over here on the right. It brings it in and automatically applies a load for gravity. Well, in this case, I'm not gonna worry about that, so I'm gonna go ahead and suppress that particular load. What we're really looking at is this design and minimizing this shape right here. So I can come in and adjust my study settings just a little bit if I want to make it, a tighter or coarser view, depending on the objects that I'm after. I can actually come in and edit my model. So what I want to do here is create kind of some bounding boxes that I want to keep material or I want to leave things alone. So I'm going to do this in two different ways. We'll start here, and I'm just going to create a simple little rectangle. We'll finish that sketch, and we're going to do an extrude to an object, and let's say that we're going to right there. We're creating a new body. My profile is this guy right there. To make sure I'm getting that face there, and let's see here. You don't need to do two sides, to object. Let's see. Let's see what our little error says. Outside the selected body. Well, let's cancel that and look at it one more time. We've got our sketch. No big deal. We're doing that. we're changing our direction, or rather our extents, to object. And we're saying right here, there we go. Now it gives us a nice preview. I don't want to join that. I want to do that as a new body. So we'll select OK. And then I'm going to do one other. I want to clear out this this area here a bit as well. So I'm going to create one more sketch just on this face, and we'll slide that over. And you'll see why here we're doing this in just a minute. Let's see. So we're going to create an extrusion. Let's pull that down the other direction here. We could say, hey, instead of going a specific distance, let's go to this face right there. Again, we want to do that as a separate body, and we'll select OK. So I've got a couple of extra bodies in there. I'm going to go ahead and finish that guy. And now I'm going to set my design space. So I have some preserved things, and that's that top plate and this back plate. I want to keep those. We'll select OK. And then I want to do some obstacle geometry, and that's where these other two bodies come into play. So I'll select this one, and I'll select this one. What that's going to do is keep my design within my little envelope here, and keep it from going outside of these objects. And then I want to do some starting shapes, and my starting shape can be this guy right there. So that gives me an idea where that's going to go. And I don't really have to worry about obstacle offset in this particular case. I can kind of leave those things alone. Now I'm going to set up my design conditions. A real simple fixed constraint back here. We're just going to lock that one in place. And then we want to set a load. And I'm going to pick this top face here. We can easily change units. I'm going to go ahead and do that right here with pound force. And let's set, a 500 pound force here. We'll select OK. We don't necessarily have to set any specific attributes in here. This particular case, it works out OK. We can look at our objectives first. What are we trying to do? Maybe set our safety factor at 2. We want to minimize mass. We might want to maximize the stiffness. We can adjust this if we want to. I'm going to go ahead and leave it for now. And then also look at our manufacturing methods. We may not want that bird bone geometry. We may not want to see, things that we can't make. So I'm going to go ahead and do unrestrictive, and then I'm not going to do the additive. That's more of that 3D print design setup here. So I'm going to pull additive off. And in our milling options here, we've got 3-axis. I could add additional configurations. I can also set, say, the 2.5 axis, or the 5-axis if I want to. I've got one configuration here, but if I want to do a second configuration with some other options, I can add those in here. We've got 2-axis cutting as well as die casting. I'll go ahead and leave this as it is. We can set our materials using the manage physical materials there. We can determine or add materials. There is a pretty extensive library of materials within Fusion. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the 304 stainless. If I don't want a particular material in there, I can just hit a delete. There's some pretty good things here. So we'll do this one just as stainless. And let's see here. From this point, the first thing I might do is hit my pre-check, and it tells me that everything's met. We'll see if we're actually going to pull something here. And then my previewer. I'm not going to run through the generation process. The Again, that generation happens on cloud, and something like this, it takes a little bit of time, a couple hours maybe, to run through all the different possibilities. But let's see what we can get. Give this just a minute to calculate. It's beginning to form those things. I'll turn my obstacle geometry off so we can kind of see a little bit about what's happening here. And maybe even turn the visibility of that starting shape off. So it's beginning to form that shape, and some different options that are within the possibilities here. Again, we can see this kind of happening, get a preview of what those shapes might look like. We'll let that process some just a minute. So this gives us that preview here. Just a little bit of an interesting thing. And when we actually process this, the designs don't come out looking like some weird molded plastic shape. It'll be some real things that you can function, or that you can make. So let's see here. I want to take a look at a model that I've already imported. Some of the things that are available with the machining or the manufacturing workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and open this guy. And I'm the first one to tell you, I have a design background, but I am not great with the CAD CAM setup. We'll see if we'll see some of these tools in play here. We can come from the design workspace. And I will say, if you bring something in from Inventor, SolidWorks, AutoCAD, whatever, you bring that in. If you start to edit this, if you start to edit some of the geometry that's here, at that point, it automatically becomes a Fusion file. How should I put it? It doesn't affect the original Inventor file. It becomes its own separate file, much like if we were to bring a SolidWorks file into Inventor and convert that to an Inventor file, the SolidWorks file would be left alone. If you're not changing geometry and you just want to come in, say, to that manufacturing workspace, it's pretty simple to do. Just select the manufacturing workspace. We can select our startup, even determine the types of machines. And I've got just a few here. We can go into the Fusion library, and you can see there's a number of different machines that are in here. I'm going to take our simple little Autodesk generic 3-axis that I've got here. If I select that, it should pull that out. So I'm going to select my my download model here, and we'll go ahead and save this and see if it will actually pull that up. Done this once or twice already, so sometimes I get a little bit of an error here. Yeah, that's okay. We can kind of still continue on. I've actually got that model already brought in here, and I forgot to delete it. So from here, we would set up our stock, and we can pick that. We can do some offsets here if we want to. However we want to look at that, we can do it from solid. We can do it fixed box size. We can do a relative size. However we want to set that up. We can determine our type of operation, work with the model orientation, or we can set our own. So if I want to have my Z-axis plane, say, set right here, I can do so, and then I can come in and set, say, the X-axis. I can change my order. I select a point for the origin, and all I have to do is pick on the little triad and slide it over. Nothing real hard. If you guys have worked with the machining setup, you've seen these before, and you can even set some things for your post processor. Let's see here. Oh, let's go ahead and select our stock. And we'll go right there. And we'll say OK. And again, just some of the different operations. Again, I'm not the best at this, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up a drill operation. And pretty simple, simple little steps here for setting these things in. We're going to set our geometry right there. We can pick all of the different or the same size holes. We'll go ahead and select our tool. And again, we have a pretty comprehensive library for working with these. Let's see here. As I go through, if I want to look at, say, hole making tools, for instance, I can pull these down. We can add more in if we want to import more library, more tools. I can select my drilling tools if I want to. Whichever is going to work out best for me. Let's see here, the 397. I think that's the one I need. We'll go ahead and select OK. It automatically pulls those, and I can work through and change my heights and obviously, change my cycle type, all of these different things. And real simply, I can run through and do a simulation. And let's see if that's going to play out. There it goes. Begins to work through and punch those things out. We've got some different settings in here. Again, we can do stock display. We can do our path display, our tools and how that's going to display. Just some pretty neat little setups. So that's available to us. This is out of the box. I've not done any additional extensions for the machining side. If we go into our extensions box, we can see some of those things that are there. That generative design is an extension. You can purchase that. You can purchase cloud credits to run those. You can go with additive building. There's some additional machining tools that you can add in. Now these are right out of the box. They're installed with Fusion. You can notice that I haven't added anything in here, as well as some of the managing tools to further adjust some of the document control, document management options, allowing a release process, change management, identifying unique numbers. There's some nesting and fabrication tools that you can add in just to extend these core capabilities. Some additional product design tools for plastic design, certain presets, geometric patterns, and also some additional simulation tools that will come in. And speaking of simulation, let's go ahead and take a look. And I'm actually going to go back and use this guy right here for a simulation design. And we can do that within this. We've done we did our generative design study here. So maybe I want to change and go to simulation. And this allows me to select that type of simulation that I want. We've got static stress, modal. We've talked about all of these. Thermal stress, buckling. We've got nonlinear studies, quasi-event studies. So I'm going to go ahead and create a simple study here. And it is very easy to work with. If we wanted to simplify some of that geometry, maybe take out some of these holes, something to that effect, we can do so. We can come in and set our study materials. So it comes in as generic. We can certainly come in and select something that we may want to work with. And you can see that there's, again, a number of those options that are built right in the software. It's not something that we have to adjust, that we have to go out and change. Let's do 1020, and we'll come in and and do the same thing down here. So let's see here. And the last one. And again, you can create multiple studies, look at different options, different thicknesses of the material, however you want to do it. Just gives you those choices. So we'll say okay there. Our constraints, we'll go ahead and add a constraint. Again, we're going to fix that guy right there, and maybe fix this this bottom one as well. So we'll select OK on those. Our loads, again, change that that unit if you want to. Let's do 5,000. See what happens. We're going to break this thing apart. We'll come in and look at our contacts. I'm going to go ahead and do automatic contacts so that it just joins all of this this setup here and makes it one solid piece. And then finally, we can adjust. We can do mesh view. We can degrees of freedom view. You know, just some different options there. We can look at our load case attributes, refine the mesh, and we can come in and do our solve. I'm going to run a pre-check. Looks like everything's been met. So let's go ahead and hit this solve. This one is where we're at, and it tells me right away, hey, you're running tight on cloud credits. In this particular case, it's going to let me run these simple static assemblies without charging me any cloud credits. I can go ahead and solve one study, and it will run through the options. Doesn't take too terribly long. Again, this is all relative to computing power. You know, we are doing this up on the cloud, so I could come and move away, begin to work on some other option if I wanted to. As a matter of fact, while this is doing that, let's go ahead and open up our last view here, and that is the. Let's see, we'll open that guy. That is the rendering workspace that I wanted to take a quick look at. We're not going to sit and render anything, but I will show you something that I did earlier today. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and let that just generate in the background. It's continuing to do so. So this is a model that that someone did with Fusion. Built this, and I wanted to show you a little bit about what that rendering environment looked like, and some of the different setups that we can get into if we so desire. So here's actually where I had already done a setup, including a background. It's got some reflections that are down below here, and that might be a little beyond what we're after. But it's not too bad. We've got scene setting options where we can set our environment. We can see this field, our cool lights, some of the different things you've probably already seen in Inventor if you've done any of this. But you can come in and adjust your exposure, your focal length, your depth of field, and determine that target if you want to. All kinds of different little options here, as well as you've got, again, the access to those physical materials. And applying a physical material is just pulling it up and drag and drop, and you're going to drop it to wherever you want that to go. We've got some appearance settings we can adjust, those seam settings, and applying decals in Fusion is a really simple process. And if you get into it, you'll see that it's a pretty easy tool, as well as manipulating your texture map. So if you've got something that has a texture and you want to manipulate that texture and change maybe its orientation or its depth or something to that effect, you've got some tools for doing that. We can do an in-canvas render, and you can see these things. We can also do cloud rendering with the tools here in Fusion. And I'm just going to open one up that I did earlier today. Let's see. So there you go. So that's that bike kind of messed with the depth of field. And I can tell you firsthand, I am by no means an artist or photographer or anything, but I like the way that thing looks. Gives a little bit of shadow down below here, and it's got the road in the background. So, and this took a few minutes to generate. Nothing spectacular, but kind of a neat tool and a neat set of tools inside of Fusion that that are pretty simple to use. So that gets us beyond our demonstration. I apologize for the momentary technical glitch there. Wanted to point out just a few more things, some of the community and support options for Fusion, Inventor, just plain Autodesk itself. You can see some of those resources there. They certainly exist. And then also point out the Autodesk Fusion 360 new user class. We put this on quite often, and it's a typical 3-day class. And we start from, okay, what do we do? You don't have to have necessarily any design experience. A lot of the folks that I've had in my classes actually are the machinists, because we're sending these designs over to them to work with, and Fusion is just plain a little bit cheaper. So they can set the machining designs up, and then we get a lot of folks from that background in these classes. So again, a pretty decent tool. So let's take a look at our questions panel here just a minute. I am not seeing a bunch of questions at this point. Let's see. The webinar did indeed freeze. I apologize for that. All right. Any questions at this point? Anything have tickle your fancy? Not seeing any questions. All right. So I think that that concludes our webinar for today. Please excuse the technical difficulties there. Nature of the beast, I guess. If you do end up with questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Ashley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Actually, we do have a couple of questions that are coming in now. If you want to look at that again, sorry.
Yeah, let's see here. My view is not giving me what I need. Okay, let's see. There we go. Let's see here. Paul asked, can you edit and view your Inventor model seamlessly with Fusion? If you edit an Inventor Fusion model or an Inventor model inside of Fusion, it becomes a Fusion model, if you will. The features that you create in Inventor do not show up in Fusion when you create features in Fusion, they will show up in a feature tree. They do not show up if you take that model back to Inventor, for instance, after the changes are made. Again, it's going to be a dumb solid, like bringing in SolidWorks or whatever. There are abilities inside of Fusion to save out Inventor-specific models, IPT files, IAM files. In the 2021 release, again, they're not going to have their feature history, just the geometry. Let's see. And does 360 eliminate the need for Vault, or is there another management system that's used? 360 is kind of a hybrid. Let me see here if we get in. And if you'll notice in my left-hand panel here, you can see some of the different versions that are listed here. Let's go ahead and pull this down. And you can see the versions that are listed here, and that's right inside. There's nothing added into my Fusion to make that happen. You can also see who's got access. So open by me, and this tells me that I'm working on it at this point. So in a sense, yes, Fusion has its own document management setup built in. If you get into that management extension that we talked about just a little bit ago, it goes in and adds the things like change management and release management, as well as a tool to generate part numbers, if you will. So this is available. Along with that, there are methods for connecting your Fusion designs through the Cloud Exchange to Autodesk Vault. And that involves the desktop connector and some different setups. So you have some options, whether you decide, okay, I'm just going to let Fusion do this management tool for me, or I'm going to continue to use Vault and get my Fusion designs into Vault. Those are available. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Lawrence, you said you had a question? Nothing more? All right. Okay. Very good, Lawrence. Thank you, folks, for attending. Anything else comes up, if you want to take a look at the training options, if you begin to work in Fusion and just have some questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach our support team, reach your salesperson, and we can get those questions answered.